Hello, my viewers. Welcome once again to Hugar Social Academy on the fourth session of the chapter called as World Organization from the Political Science, chapter number 22 of class 10 standard. In our previous third sessions, we have understood about the formation of UNO and its organs. In the second session, we have understood about the different agencies who are working with the UNO. And in the third session, we have understood about some of the regional cooperations. And in this fourth session, we are going to continue with the same topic called as regional cooperation. As in my previous session of this regional cooperation, I said you and where we understood about why the nations are in a need of the other nations. And we gave the answer that none of the nations are self sufficient. Every nation, one or other way, he is in need of some other things. And for that purpose, he has to come in a contact with the other nations. And the nations always try to develop this relationship with the other nations. The purpose of this is what? That all round progress of the country is needed. Then only there will be a proper progress of the country. And we very well understood regarding the nations who are economically quite very weak, we call them as underdeveloped nations. Somewhere the nations who are somewhat economically progress is been going on, we call them as a developing nations. And there is another side, the nations are been there who are already developed. There is no need of more development, it is been there. They are almost on the end of the stage. They are standing at the end of the line where they can help to many number of other nations who are in a need of deep need of the development. In such cases it has been found that not only the bodies, the organs of the UNO are working, agencies of the UNO are working, and moreover in the agencies of UNO where we have studied about two important agencies. One is called as a IMF, International Monetary Fund, and another one was IBRD, International Bank of Reconstruction Development. These two monetary institutions are helping to the whom, to the number of nations. And the third pillar, WTO, World Trade Organization, are playing a very important role in the number of nations. Now, as we are studying about regional cooperation, and as we are saying that some of the nation came together and they have joined their hands, and now they have been working for their progress. It doesn't mean that they can't come into the contact of the agencies like IMF, IBRD, WTO. It is made to all this IMF, IBRD, WTO is been made to all the member of nations of the UNO. Directly or indirectly, the regional cooperations where the number of nations, few nations join their hands, even they are also the part of the vision, part of the UNO. Let us go to our next regional cooperation, next organ or next group which came together. And here it is what? It's a European Union it is, right? And this European Union consists of how many? 27 nations. 27 nations have joined their hands together to form an European Union, right? Now this group is known as a European. So number of nations which lies in the Europe, with their mutual trust, with their mutual belief, with their mutual understanding, with their mutual social, cultural, economically, in all the part, they came together. And this this European Union came in the 1992. Came in the year 1992. It came forward with some common program like To these all 27 nations, there will be a common market. To these all 27 unions, 27 countries, it's a single currency. Same currency will run. To these all nations, agriculture, common trade policy. See how good they have made. Common currency, common trade. Major it is common trade policy. No nation will have any sort of issues regarding it, because it's like in the country how the common constitution will be there for all the number of people of that particular country. Now European nation, they have made a common trade policy for all the 27 nations who are the part of European Union. Nobody is going to raise any sort of question related trade. It's policy. It's because before making the trade policy or before implementing the trade policy, these all 27 nations have agreed on that trade policy. On that trade policy. So it's all our commodities. Another side, this European Union, right? Most important part now. This European Union is having its institution, and this institution works on few things. This European Union with its European institution, some of the European institution, as in the form of, we can say, some of the rules and regulations or some of the strong bodies are being made. With the help of that bodies, the whole 27 nations who are the part of the European Union are being controlled. Among that, the first one is Council. Council it is, where all the 27 nations members will be the part of it. In the same way, commissions are being made now. The commissions for the purpose of knowing regarding the different issues are being there. Same way which will be discussed in the council also. European Parliament it is, common parliament. Yes, all the 27 nations are having their own parliament in their country, but commonly they sit together, where all the 27 nations members will come and they will sit and they will discuss regarding the issues like these all or many more. European Court of Justice. See, it's a court of justice. We know very well that every country is also having its court, but to all the 27 nations, because some or other way, some small or big clashes will arise. In such cases, to solve those problems between the nation and between the other nation, that too in the European Union itself, among the 27 nations, what it is, European Court of Justice has been made. And very one more, central bank it is. Central bank, like how we are saying that IMF, International Monetary Fund, IBRD, International Bank of Reconstruction Development, who works for the providing the finance to all the needy nation. Now here there is a central bank. This central bank is for all these 27 nations. These 27 nations can get the financial assistance by the approval from the Central Bank of European. So to all the nations, it's a bank. And moreover, two important word where they focus. One is peace and another one is democracy. If there is a peace, then only we will have the good democracy. And democracy says that every nation, every nation is having the power to grow themselves. Moreover, the people living in these nations are having the power to develop themselves, and together to develop all the number of nations who are the part of the European Union. So peace and democracy has been majorly, it has been focused in the way in the European Union. With how many nations? 27 nations. But right, in the same way, there is one more regional cooperation came forward in the name of ASEAN. ASEAN, ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Okay, now this is a group of Southeast Asian nations, which whose headquarters is located in the Jakarta, which lies in the where in the Indonesia. So in the Indonesia, at the place called as Jakarta, it's a head office of whom, of the ASEAN, which is called as a Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which came in the year 1967, which came into the power in the year 1967. So who are the part of this nation? Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand. Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand. They are the original founder member of ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, in the year 1967. But now there are few more nations who are being the part of the Southeast Asian nations. Now total 10 countries are in the way in this group called as ASEAN. 5 plus 5 more are added. Total how many are there? 10 countries are in this organization. Now, what is the aim of that? Those all 10 countries. One is economic growth. Again, the same thing, right? So, purpose is what? There should be a progress of the economy. Social progress most needed. Social progress, and in that social progress, different things are with there, like eradication of the poverty, development of the languages, development of the customs, traditions, culture, okay, technical, any sort of issues have been aroused, focus on the development of the science, which is nowadays playing a very important role. Administrative field is very important, as how much proper administrative field will be there, then there is a proper guiding or the control of the nations will be there. But this country, these 10 nations are not having any military alliance. There is no military alliance, right? Now, for what, how in the form of military alliance? Now, for example, there is a group called as a NATO, Non-Atlantic Treaty Organization. This group, where near 30 countries are there. Now, what type of provision they have made? If in this group, the nation who are been there, if any apart from the group, that person, if he attacks on the countries who are in the group of NATO, then the result will be those all nations who are the part of NATO will together attack on that nation which has attacked on the country which is a part of NATO, in this way. So that there is a military alliance, okay, among the number of nations of the NATO. Now here, among these all, there is no such military alliance are been there. So they do independently, they are having their military, and independently they will think on that. But only what it is that regarding the economic growth, social progress, cultural, technical, science, administrative field, in these all field, what we are saying, there is a together progress of the vision, progress of all those nations who are the part of the Asian, it is been there. Let us understand about one more regional cooperation countries, and the countries are related. The organization is known as the Organization of African Unity. The Organization of African Unity, which came in the year 1963. As we all very well know this, dear, that the African nations were under the hands of the British. They all were nothing but they were the British colonies, and we very well know that the British, who call themselves as a white, and the Africans who are the black. So the in the name of apartheid policy, in the name of imperialism policy, in the name of colonialism policy, it was been found that blacks were not having any sorts of rights. It was mentioned by the whites that black are burden on this earth. Blacks are born to serve to the white. Such concepts were been there. But after 1945, after the creation of the UNO, many of the African nations got independent. And those all African nations who got independent, they were economically weak nations. At this time, it was decided by the number of nations, African nations, to come together to form an organization called as the Organization of African Unity, which came in the year 1963. This organization, which is here, with some motto, it came forward with the principle of self determination of all the independent African states. Those all African states which were been there, they were been under the hands of someone, but now they are being independent. So it stands on the principles of self determination. Moreover, these African nations which are there, they focus on the where on the freedom, equality, justice, and solidarity of African countries, which was not there, right? Freedom we can understand, equality we can understand, justice also we can. Now this is a solidarity is nothing but it's a strong bonding of the number of African states to form and to come together for any sort of difficulties. This is the reason the organization African Unity came forward. And this African Unity, which was called as an in the year 1963, the organization which was called as African Unity. Now in the year 2002, in the year 2002, this African Unity, instead of unity, the new name was been given called as a union. A union, it's because it's a group of the number of African states. Now, all African states together formed an union. So, in the year 2002, it was called as an African Union. With how many members are now? 55 members. 55 African nations together is equal to one organization called as the Organization of African Union. So, 55 members are the part of it. Now, this organization called as Organization of African Unity or African Union, well, it works with some of the proper system in the form of assembly of heads of states and government will be the part of it, okay, of the African, say, assembly of head of the states. Now head of the state, somewhere prime minister will be there, somewhere president will be there, foreign minister, home ministers, they all will be the part. And the government, when we talk, then the chief ministers, okay, in this form. And council of ministers will also be the part of it. The secretariat will, who will be the head of all the number of nations, 55 members nations, which has been chosen anonymously with the proper support of all the 55 members. And the secretary duty is to find out the number of issues, to listen the number of issues of all the 55 members, and for work for them, okay, with all the 55 members. And a commission of mediation is very very important among those 55 states, because sometimes problems are arises. So in such cases, the commissions is been made for the mediating. Conciliation is been there. Conciliation, it means the process of ending an argument if any sort of uh, problem has been arose between the two states. Arbitration means it's in the form of mediator. It is in the form of mediator to end up any sort of problem if it has been arose. So it consists, so these all things are is in the way in the Organization of African Unity or Union. In this form, what we have seen that African Organization of African Unity, it came forward. So it may be Organization of African Union, it may be the European Union, it may be the ASEAN, SARC, or Commonwealth of Nations. All they have came forward together for having a good cooperation among each other for all round development of themselves also and of the other nations. Hope you have understood regarding the number of regional cooperation from the chapter called as a World Organization Political Science, chapter number 22. And as usual, I say at the end of it, watch the video full, which will help you to frame the notes also, and even which will help you to know the number of topics. Stay tuned with the new videos, and even go on watching the other videos of the class 10th standard of social science, which will guide you for the exam. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe. Any more queries are there with a comment, and as usual, let us once again join and meet together in the next session of the new chapter with a new video.